Hello, this is Ella Aquarela and welcome to my channel. Today I'm excited to bring you a product supply review of Van Gogh Metallic and Interference watercolors. It's a pocket box of 12 colors and I just think it's absolutely adorable. So what we're going to do today is we are going to unbox these. We are going to swatch them out in both black watercolor paper and white watercolor paper, and we're going to compare them to other metallic watercolors that I have in my stash. Just so you know, I got these and this black watercolor paper at a Blake art supply haul that I posted recently. I'm gonna link that above if you're interested in seeing that. So let's start out unboxing these. It comes in this plastic palette with a sleeve that in the back has a picture of what it looks like inside. It says that it has a large mixing space. Hopefully you can see that. Pans can be popped out, removable mixing tray, and it brings a number 6 brush. It also has little swatches of the colors that are included. This pocket box looks very similar, it's not exactly the same, to their original pocket box of normal watercolors, which is like traditional watercolors. That is very popular, but the box is white. So the white box just means they're normal watercolors. The black box means they're metallic watercolors. It's a pretty sturdy box. It opens up to reveal a palette and the brush and the 12 colors. It's pretty great. It has the branding up here in the middle. It's very nicely designed. It feels really sturdy. It feels balanced. It lays flat, which is great. Really like that. The brush pops out and it's a little travel brush, and it's a pretty nice size, a number 6. I will definitely be using this, maybe not with these watercolors, but just for my regular just travel sketching set. I might add this to my travel sketching set for my other watercolors. It has 6 mixing areas here in the tray, which is great, and the brush has this little piece at the end. It can also be used for scraping, but it's meant to lift the palette out of the tray, so you can use it separately, which is quite convenient. It also can be used to lift the pans from the palette. So each pan has a little kind of, space here where you can use this to kind of lift them up. So that's pretty great. Now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take these out of the wrapper just to show you what it looks like. The wrapper has the logo. It just says Van Gogh Watercolors. It has the light fastness, opacity, and color number in the top. And on the side, it has the color name. Just trying to focus this. Hopefully you can see that. My camera is not cooperating. Maybe it's just too close. So basically this color is called Interference Blue. So these are metallic and interference watercolors, which is interesting. I haven't really used that many interference colors. I think they look different on the pan than when you laid them down. So we'll see that when we swatch them out and see what happens. So when you take this out, it is a white pan. And it has some sort of code, but does it match? It does. The code on the pan matches the paint code, which makes sense. That's nice. And in the back, it has the company address, even the P.O. box in Holland, which is kind of crazy that they would have the P.O. box address there. But it doesn't have the color name. So I'll have to probably write the color name on the side with a Sharpie of some sort. It's funny because it's blue, but it looks pretty white if you look at it here. So I'll be really curious to swatch this out and see what it looks like after it's swatched out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and unwrap all of these and then we'll begin swatching them out. Okay, so I've unwrapped these And turns out there are 6 metallic colors in this set and 6 interference colors, which I hadn't realized before I unwrapped these. The metallic colors are super easy to identify just by looking at them in the pan. The interference colors, it's harder because they're kind of more pale. So it'd be interesting to see how they look like on paper. So now I'm gonna put these in their box and I'm gonna swatch them out. Okay, we're going with the overhead camera so you can see some of the swatching. I put these in their box. I love how they look in their box. They're super cute. Before we swatch them out, I'm going to just put 1 drop of water on each pan. So we're gonna give those a few seconds. We're gonna swatch them out on white paper, and then we're gonna swatch them out on black paper. So I already swatched out a fine tech for comparison, but I'm gonna cover that so we don't get ahead of ourselves. And now I'm gonna swatch out the metallic ones first. We're going with the light gold. Actually quite easy to lift off the pan. So all of these, when I looked at the wrappers, they all said that they have 3-star like light fastness rating. So I guess that means they're light fast, and they're all semi-opaque. So they all had exactly the same rating of light fastness and like opaqueness or transparency. So these are very nice. I also put some timestamps on the description below. So if you would like to skip ahead to when the swatches are finished, feel free to do that. If you are, the type of person that loves to just watch the swatching process, then please stay with me and you can watch these getting swatched out. That graphite is so interesting. It looks just like graphite, but shiny. Really nice. So I also have a few other metallic watercolors. I have Prima Marketing, which I guess now they're called Art Philosophy. I had bought one of their watercolor confection sets, the Decadent Pies, I believe, and it came with 3 metallics, which were my first metallic paints ever, and they were very hard to lift. I had to scrub quite a bit, and I had to leave, the water soaking in there for a long time to get some payoff, and it was very frustrating, so I didn't use them that much. So I'm so happy to really see. These are so easy to lift. Just with a drop of water and a few seconds, they lift really well. So now we're moving on to the interference colors. This is interference white. It's basically like a pearl, your basic pearl color. This is interference yellow. On white paper, it's very pale. It looks like a pearl yellow type of color. Very pretty. I'm hoping that the interference colors, when we swatch them out on black paper, they come across a little bit more strongly, because they look just very soft, and you can barely see. You really have to tilt your head to see these come through on white paper. This is the violet, just a tinge of violet. You can barely tell. Once I'm done swatching these, I'll move them closer to the camera, and I will tilt the paper around so you can see how it catches the light and get a better sense. This is the blue. And this is the green. All right, so let me get this closer to the camera so you can see. I mean, the metallics are coming across amazing. They're super pigmented, super bright, very shiny. They lay down really flat and beautiful. This white paper is B watercolor paper, 100% cotton. And they really show up beautifully on this paper. The interference colors, which is the bottom row, they're very faint. You can see the tinge of each of the colors, but it's just very faint. And if you tilt the paper a certain way, you can barely see them. So that's really interesting. Now let's see what they look like on black paper. All right, I created this swatch sheet with the Legion black aqua cold press watercolor paper. I wrote everything with a Jelly Roll gel pen, like a white Jelly Roll pen, you know, your good old Jelly Roll pen. And I'm gonna swatch these out now in this black paper. I'm super excited. This is like what I've been waiting for. So let's see what the light gold looks like. Very nice. On the black paper, it really like just comes across like it's so much more bold. So I've been using just like the limited metallic watercolors that I had for a while, like those Prima ones that I talked about, and I have bought a Kremer light gold one, which is beautiful, but I've been using them mostly on greeting cards for accents, mostly on Christmas greeting cards, and just on white paper. So I hadn't really used any metallics on black paper. And what I'm doing here, I'm trying to just dilute the color a little bit. I want to see how it goes from more opaque to less opaque, like, you know, just less pigment in general, to see how they look like if you want to lay them down as a more opaque wash or a lighter wash. So I am like really loading my brush when I do the top part, and then I'm gonna dilute it as I go down the swatch. And it makes such a pretty effect, just like the little mica, like glittery specks just floating down the page. I wish I could record that somehow. I'm gonna try to record that because it's so pretty. And the more time that these have, you know, gotten wet, has the water has soaked in, the easier it is to lift the paint. So easy to lift the paint, and they're just very pigmented, so it's very nice. So now we're moving on to the bronze. Oh, that's really opaque. So you get a lot of payoff with these. I can imagine the pans could run out pretty quickly if you use these a lot, because I already see a dent in some of these pans and I've just used them for the first time. And this copper color is just really gorgeous. So nice. Now let's move on to the interference colors. Oops, grabbing the wrong one there. Interference white first. Oh, that actually shows up quite a lot more opaque and vibrant. It makes sense because white, I mean, white on white paper wasn't exactly the biggest contrast. So definitely showing up better on black paper, which is what we expected. Well, let's move on to the yellow. Oh, wow, that's different. That's definitely way different than how it looks like on white paper. Wow. It's basically just like a light gold. So interesting. So it shows up like a metallic on black paper, but like a very pearly, faint color on white. I wonder, I don't know, if you happen to know what's the rationale behind like having these. Oh wow, that's really kind of reddish pinky purpley. Wow, that is crazy. Look how white that is on the pan. Look how red that is on the black paper. That's freaking insane. Wow. Let me look at the white swatches. Like, look at the white swatches. This is the red in the white swatch, and that's the red on the black paper. That's freaking crazy. Wow, that's something. I wonder what the rationale is though for having that exist. Like, because I guess if you're only going to use it on black paper, it's going to look like a regular metallic on black paper. Or maybe it's just the fact that when you're using it, just the experience of seeing it change from like a pale color to this amazingly vibrant color on black paper. I don't know. Because I feel like if you see the finished work of art, you won't tell that, you can't tell this is an interference color or a metallic color if you see a final piece of art made with these. It's cool while you're painting to see the shift from the pan to the paper. But I wonder, other than that, if there is a good reason. If you know, or if you have any ideas, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts and theories around what's, other than just like the cool factor when you're painting, what's the point of having it change? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that because it's cool, but it's just so random. Look at that green. That is cool. All right, so that's the 12 colors. They're beautiful. Now I'm gonna do a quick mixing exercise here just because I just wonder, can you mix metallic colors? Like, what happens when you mix two metallics? Do you, or interference colors, do they mix differently? Like, what happens? Or do you just get sparkles from different colors versus getting, you know, like one even new color? Okay, so with the blue and red, you actually do get a purple. So that's interesting. With the other mixes, you don't, well, I guess this one was like a dirty gold, so you could say that's a little bit more orangey, but yeah, you don't get green if you mix the interference yellow and the interference blue, but you get a purple if you mix the red and the blue. So that's really interesting. All right, let's let these dry, and then let's compare these to Fine Tech to see how they fare up against them. Right, so I have the swatches for both the Van Gogh on the left and the Fine Tech on the right. So let's compare these together. The Fine Techs, I have to say, they carry a bit more of a punch. The colors are laid down a lot more opaque and evenly. The paper doesn't come through at all when you do like a flat wash with, you know, a lot of pigment. The pans have a lot of color payoff. They're really easy to lift as well, and I really enjoy using these. The Van Goghs are not bad. They laid down pretty well. Their color payoff was also good. They're quite vibrant and pigmented as well, but they just don't carry the same punch that the Fine Techs do. And sometimes you get the paper showing up, you can see the black paper showing up. You know, it's just not as, the wash is not as even. This is exactly the same paper that I'm using for both. And I use basically the same technique for swatching them. So definitely, just like at first glance, the Fine Tech really stand out. I did mixing with the Fine Techs as well. I have a similar situation where you can't really get like a, you know, if you mix yellow and blue, you can't really get a green like you would with regular watercolors. You get this murky type of like yellow, and you can see a little bit of yellow and a little bit of blue, but you don't get quite a green. You do get a purple if you mix the red and the blue, but for the rest, you just get kind of more muted versions of the colors you're mixing, which it was the same case with the Van Gogh metallic and interference colors. You can't quite get what you would expect, but you get more muted versions of the colors. Overall, the Van Goghs are more muted in general. They're just more muted pigments than the Fine Tech. The Fine Tech just are just like higher chroma, if I could call them anything. The colors are cleaner. It's like a brighter gold versus like a duller gold. So if you like more like toned down metallic colors and more like maybe natural looking, if you want to call it that, then maybe the Van Goghs would be a better choice for you. The Fine Techs would be great if you really like pops of color, you know, just very vibrant and in your face kind of punch of color. I personally like that better, so I gravitate towards the Fine Tech more. Also, in terms of price, the Van Goghs, I bought both of these at Blick, by the way. I bought these last year at Blick. I bought these, you know, recently. These cost me around $40-something at Blick for 12 colors. The Van Goghs cost me close, I think it was like $50-ish at Dick Blick. So the Van Goghs are more expensive. And on top of that, if you look at the pans, the Fine Tech pans are so much bigger. So you get a lot more paint for less money. So look at the size of this pans, the difference in the size. I mean, you can fit like maybe 2.5 Van Gogh pans in a pan of Fine Tech, and they're actually the same depth. So if you compare, they're about the same depth, maybe like a millimeter off, but it's like you get a lot more paint in general with the Fine Tech. So if I had to choose or recommend, if in your area where you live, you can only get the Van Gogh ones, then definitely you're not going to regret it. They're beautiful. You can use them for anything you want. But if you have the luxury of choosing between these two, and you can find the Fine Techs like I did cheaper, I would definitely go with the Fine Techs. They are the standard for metallic watercolors. I think a lot of people would agree. A lot of crafters and artists use them. They have high light fastness as well. So definitely you can't really go wrong with either one. But if you can't find one or the other, definitely go with what you have in your area. But if you can choose, I would choose Fine Tech. So overall, that's kind of my verdict, at least on black paper. Now let's look at the white paper. Obviously, like I mentioned, the interference colors show up very different on white paper. Can't really compare it to Fine Tech because I don't have the Fine Tech interference colors. But if you compare the metallic colors, it's a bit of a similar story than with the black paper. The Van Goghs are just look more muted, and they didn't lay down as the washes weren't as flat as with the Fine Techs. I did do a little bit of a Sharpie, like black line, to see the opaqueness of the fine tech. I forgot to do that with the Van Goghs, so my apologies. But just looking at them side to side, this is, you know, like I mentioned, 100% cotton paper by B Paper Company, and they absorb quite well. Like you can tell, like the Van Goghs, really, like they get soaked into the paper. The fine techs kind of seem to be sitting on top of the paper. So maybe that's what helps them kind of stand out more. But overall, the conclusion doesn't change. Now I'm gonna make some future videos where I'm gonna try to actually sketch and paint with some of these to see what kind of effects I can make and get just sketching or just watercolor painting with these, and maybe other mixed media on black Legion watercolor paper. So if you're interested in seeing that, please subscribe so you can get notified when I post those videos. And if you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up as well and leaving a comment below. It really helps my channel. And I will hope to see you in my next video. Take care. Bye-bye.